Hello and welcome to the Pro Detailer Magazine podcast. I am joined here by Mr. Ian of Seeley.
Hello.
And we are in a very positive mood because we have just put issue 15 of the Pro Detailer Magazine to bed. So
I think positive is a bit of a stretch, but yeah.
Well, pretty broken.
I'm not crying anymore. So.
Just all dried up. Yeah, well, we are talking to you shortly after a massive heat wave, and we are working in uninsulated buildings and getting very, very hot and sweaty as a consequence at the moment. It is only 25 degrees, positively chillsome. But my God, 2022 has been a busy year so far, has it not?
I'm surprised the entire world hasn't burned down yet, but just a magazine front.
Well, just us, actually. Don't give a crap about the rest of the world.
Yeah, it's been pretty full on.
So what happened? We pulled a book out the hat in end of April, beginning of May.
Yeah, eventually that went to print.
That did, and that's been going really well. We're really chuffed. Thank you so much for all those who've supported us with purchases. If you haven't, do so. We're even on some Amazon bestseller lists now.
Yeah, we were number one.
We were, briefly.
In our category.
In our category.
Which is a fairly niche category, but still, we've beaten out... Oh, what was it? What's the name of the guy who does Repair Shop?
Oh.
Yeah, we beat him anyway, so that's a positive thing.
Yeah, and he's obviously really famous. But we did that, and then we did the wax stock guide, and of course the previous wax stock was 2019, so that was we did that in kind of the old style. It was a long time ago, and of course in now your design prowess is such
the thing is that wax stock was historically always
July.
where we would launch the summer issue of the magazine. So around about a week in the run up to finishing the magazine, you'd end up dropping off, going into Word and Paint or whatever, and putting together this little wax stock guide.
Yes.
He was scurrying around to get the main issue of the magazine actually ready.
I just want to make it clear it's Word 97 as well. None of these newfangled snappy
Did they carry on making Word after 97? I didn't know.
They did keep on making it, but I have an old school one that you get a license. You don't even have to log in and pay every year. You get a license, you do it. It's brilliant. And now I use modern Word.
Do you have that on a business card, license to Word?
I should.
But no, so... This year, obviously, because it was a little bit earlier, thank you very much doing it over Spring Bank Holiday weekend, it's... You're right there.
Yeah, I'm all right. Sorry, the printer just woke up.
Oh, okay.
It's a voice-activated printer, apparently. But it's fine. You can't hear it.
But yeah, so this actually gave us a chance to put a bit more time into the wax stock guide, play about with it, put some articles in there, put some production into it.
It's
get rid of the bitmap images that you made on paper.
I like bitmaps. Who needs to compress it?
Yeah, so yeah, but that consequentially did mean took us about 2.5, 3 weeks to put all that together.
Well, it just struck me that theoretically wax stock should actually be this Sunday.
Yes.
Because this is the third Sunday coming up in July. So I'm kind of glad it's done now. If somebody said we're doing wax stock again tomorrow, we'd be, panicking.
Wax stock North.
Yeah.
Damn you, Chris Evans.
Yes. Stop painting Ferraris white. And that was mega because obviously we have a big stand, 6x6 stand for the show. So we first of all have to do the wax stock guide, which involves talking to all 60 attendees, exhibitors, and getting information off them for their listings and stuff like that. And some of them cannot reply to emails.
Trying to get we just want your logo, just a logo.
Yes.
For God's sake, it's for a map, it's to help you.
So we have that, and God blimey, it is hard work on the coordination side of things. Some hang on, don't get me wrong here. Some are absolutely brilliant. I send out a blanket email to everyone, and within 10 minutes, there are about 5 or 6 companies that have filled in the forms, sent over nice high resolution PNGs or JPEGs, and they're marvelous, and we love you. Those who didn't, judgment of you. Anyway,
like scowly-eyed judgment.
Yeah, I forget this is a podcast. You can't see me just twitching my beard.
It's probably for a good thing.
You can probably hear it, though.
Put your clothes back on. That noise was his beard. Just after my comment, that didn't really work too well.
No, it didn't. Yeah, face beard as well. So anyway, we then Ian's just crying. You have to be careful.
Do you call it your genital beard otherwise?
There's another word.
Just face beard. I mean, I already call it your cock beard anyway.
Anyway, this is to train. As you can tell, we're not drunk. Ian's just on tea and I'm on Red Bull. I bought a 48-pack of Weston's Harry Weston's strong cider to celebrate the ending of the magazine, and I've drunk quite a lot of it. I mean,
I opened a bottle of wine and ate them with an accompaniment of dry Frosties.
Oh, it's like being a student.
I know. Straw now.
So yeah, the show itself was fun because previously we had kind of got a slightly bigger team. I used to have more employees that we would rope in, and so it was really just down to us two. And well, we decided on Kallaxes were the way to go. So we went to IKEA and spent £1,000 on Kallaxes.
Well, no, we went to the IKEA website, not going into an IKEA.
Oh hell no! Well, I'm not allowed actually after last time. I got lost and I found a fire exit that set an alarm off. It didn't end very well. And then I tried to return things because I didn't have a roof rack.
I feel uncomfortable if I have to leave the arrowed walk, even though there are cut-throughs. I feel like I need to follow it the whole way around to get the whole experience.
You see, we've both got slightly different mental ambiguities. And yeah, mine is setting alarms off and getting the police called, and yours is making sure that you follow the arrows precisely and must stay exactly 16 degrees. Yeah, it could be difficult, I can see. So yeah, website. And we put it all together. We got the banners. Well, we ordered banners from Italy and to be made there because obviously Italians are good at that.
Well, no, we just ordered banners. We didn't know they were coming from Italy, but
until they didn't come.
Yeah.
And then apparently they arrived in Swindon the day before the show, but we weren't able to access them. I suggested we break into the DHL sort of depot and provided tools and a half-decent plan to evade most of the CCTV cameras, but you said no.
I didn't specifically say no. I really couldn't be bothered.
No, I was quite looking forward to that. I've got many hammers which are good at that sort of ram raiding thing. But anyway, so we then went to show and set everything up and even brought our own carpet, which you skillfully put down and then cut and stuff like that. And then we were going to be standing on stand and talking to people and stuff like that, but I got pulled off to the stage for most of it because Kelly trotted over, I think, the day before saying, oh, could you help with a couple of things? 3 hours later, talking to some not random, I'm sure he's very important, terribly sorry, I don't know what your name is, and doing interviews and stuff.
Sorry, I think the same about you.
Yeah, exactly. Most people just presume I'm the security, or they should call the security. And so the day itself was a blur, frankly.
Well, because you were off stand all the time, I ended up going around and doing all the photography bits that we needed for the artwork. So I was also off stand most of the time.
That's true. I did do photos, and it wasn't just of that lovely Subaru Impreza that was behind us.
It was mostly of that Subaru Impreza that was behind us. Notice I knocked off the lovely from your description. It was a Subaru Impreza.
I took, I think, 800 frames there, and I think only 60 or 70 were of the Scoob. And the problem is, it's not a great place for photography anyway because of the lighting and the people. And I find actually, if you're a photographer at a show, big advice: grow a beard, look scary. Works wonders for scaring the children away. Yeah, that was a blur. And then we came back and thought, crap, we've got to do issue 15 in the space of 6 weeks.
Which we had been working on beforehand.
Oh, yeah.
Things like the Megatest and that we had got the ball rolling on quite early on, but obviously with everything going on, we hadn't been able to chase it as much as we want to, which we'll come to later, I'm sure.
Yeah, well, I remember a trip where we were leaving this place, in fact, and I was a passenger in your Mercedes, clinging on hard, and I think you said, oh, when do you think we should go to print? And I was thinking, well, towards the end of July, maybe, keeping it vague. And you're like, I think we should do it on the second week of July. And then came up with your reasoning, which was all very logical and sensible like that. And I was thinking, God almighty, this is dreamland. But bugger me, we've done it. Mm-hmm. I mean, we really have. And it wasn't a rush job before anybody comes to that conclusion. We were diligent. And I mean, just give you an idea of scope, like the new products section and new products and hardware combined was 14,000 words. The Megatest was about 10,000 words.
I think most of that was Andreas.
Yes, he was a chunk. He was 4,300 words, and then we had 3,900 words from Arthur James, which isn't his real name because he sails for King and Country and is currently down in the South Seas defending our honour against the Argentinians and the Penguins. Yeah, militant Argentinians. I'm not scared of an Argentinian, but penguin. Ooh. It's the way they flap their wings, and so we had lots of testers, and we'll get onto that. We don't want to get into a Megatest deep dive right now, but let's kick off with the CCA, the Car Care Adventures, the bit that frankly in the mag I really enjoyed doing because we do it year round and we're constantly doing stuff, visiting factories, seeing detailers, going to random jobs at nuclear power stations, and
oddly specific.
It is weirdly specific but relevant, as you'll find out. And I enjoy it from a photography point of view, but I also enjoy it from the narrative because everything, there's a story to everything, and putting that together and then meeting also all these people and seeing all these facilities. And our first trip took us over to lovely France, didn't it?
Yes, we were on tour. On tour.
And the home of the detailing show. So we've presented this kind of like the holy trinity of European detailing shows, and there are 3 of them, culminating in Waxstock, starting.
Hence the trinity.
Hence the trinity, yes. Well,
we had to count it up first.
All right, showing off your education.
Numbers came out right. There are 3, ergo trinity. There was no zombies after it, so not that kind of trinity.
No, well, you say that. We did go through a dodgy part of tour when have we not?
It took me far longer than 3 days to come back to life after Waxstock.
Yes, it did indeed. But yeah, no, so tour detailing show, that was fun. And we had lots of UK manufacturers there, but it was good to meet people like Fictech, who are really cool French manufacturer. And also catch up, we met Mr. Guillaume himself, Yves, who's very sparky character, really cool. And big shout out to him. It came out just after Waxstock, the Guillaume, they've got like their own picture book. It sounds unfair. It's a masterpiece of production.
It's an art coffee table magazine.
It really is. And it's so heavy. Seriously, you could inflict injury if you twatted somebody over the head with it.
I think it's about a tenner as well. It's well worth it.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's very limited edition. I think they've all gone.
You can buy it.
Oh, right. Okay. I feel less special now. He said, I've only got a couple left. I'll send you one. And then lo and behold, he did. So that was really cool. And who else did we meet in France? It was good. We met the ValetPRO guys. They were fun.
Yeah, Cadillac were over there. Good to catch up with Bodo.
And we palled up. Bodo. Oh, yeah. Well, he's not called Bodo, is he? Let's face it. He's called Jay Leno because he is Jay Leno. And he's hilarious. And he's but German. Who knew?
Alan was over there.
Alan had a posse following him. He literally had.
Well, he has an entourage these days.
Yeah, he's kind of a big
doesn't
deal.
Get back to our phone calls anymore.
He does to mine.
Oh, that's awkward.
Yeah, don't send dick pics. That's the key. I find people are much more responsive then.
What else can I send? It's my only redeeming quality, as I tell people.
No, well, he was there, and he was there with some really interesting people who were starting up, I think, kind of detailing training academies, accreditation sort of thing, down in Southern Europe somewhere, like Greece or Turkey or Malta or something. Can't remember. But anyway,
long time ago, lots of things have happened since.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sure we mentioned it in the magazine, though.
Yeah, I think we have. And then also
the Crytek.
Crytek,
with
yes.
all of their blacked out Mercedes vans and
yes, who
like that.
Aren't Russian.
No, they're not. They're I put it in a Slovene,
quite possibly.
Again, it's in the magazine.
Yeah,
I've written it down. Yeah. We can't expect us to remember these things. There's 130 pages, for goodness sake.
But the reason I say not Russian is on one of the like impromptu videos we did there is I declared them to be Russian. Bear in mind, we've since gone to war.
No, I think they were just going really fast. So look at these rushing around.
I'd like to be able to get away with that, but okay, yeah, they were rushing around in their blacked out Mercedes vans, and they're very pretty women, and they're very nicely modified BMW M4. I mean, it is somewhat like. I don't want to go into this myself.
Was it massively modified?
Yeah, it had some fancy pants wheels on it. Or it could have just been a CSL or something.
I think it might have been mostly standard.
Okay, I did annoyingly
very
quite
cool,
like it.
And it was blasting up and down the main strip in tours for most of the evening after.
It was a bit gangster, wasn't it? Bit mafia. But yeah, no, so that was awesome. And France was fun. And we went to France with... I'm trying to remember. It was...
Dave.
It was Dave, wasn't it? It was Dave. Yeah, I was just... Because we did...
Dave tagged onto our trip.
That's true. And then, of course, yeah. So Dave Kendall, awesome man. And we went out for some lovely dinners and nearly got a bit kind of robbed and raped on the way home in one of them.
Did we?
Yeah, I did. Well, I went ahead because I had a ablutions disaster occurring, so I walked rather faster than you guys. And
shorter steps, though.
Shorter steps. And I got approached by some men of the night who were asking for everything from cigarettes to money. And so I just sort of said, no, I'm British, and then showed them my beard. And yeah, they vanished back into the darkness. But I did for a moment think I was going to have to get a bit fighty, punchy, but everything was okay in the end. You guys obviously weren't bothered by them.
Well, we were standing back laughing.
So there was that, and then after that we ventured. I mean, other things happened in between, but we went to Germany.
Yes.
To Einbeck. Einbeck. It was Einbeck.
Well, we went to Hanover first.
We did, and we got an electric car that you got terribly excited about, and I started getting very upset about
because it was good.
No,
it was the e-tron. No, you liked the e-tron. Because we'd already seen one in at the pod parking at T5.
Yes.
And we went, oh, that looks really cool.
Wasn't that a GT?
We had a Polestar 2 booked originally. Yes, it was GT or Sport
it was a swoopy. No, but the one we saw was swoopy and
it looked more like the A7.
Yeah, which was a lovely car.
Yeah, but it was still cool. But yeah, we got to Hanover Airport and surprised they didn't have the car that we wanted. I was expecting a Hyundai Ioniq. or something like that, something equally terrible, and they turn around and say, "Oh, here's this Audi e-tron 55, brand new." Thank you.
Yeah.
And we spent most of the time you were draining the battery, playing with the various cameras.
I was. It did have funky cameras, but and this is the thing. Everybody says these electric cars are fast, and
no, it is fast. It's just restricted.
Yeah.
It could have been a lot faster because, frankly, in any model above the 55, they don't change anything. They just add a semicolon somewhere.
Yeah.
And oh yes. Well, now I'll go more than 200 kilometres per hour.
Well, we maxed it at.
It was 200.
Is that what it maxed out at? Yeah, and it just felt a bit gutless at the top end. I like. This is why I like
got
V8s.
there quick enough there.
It did, but I like V8s and I like flat sixes. And
Which is why you're also poor.
Yeah. Well, there is that. Yeah.
Currently, what, 192 a litre at the moment as we speak.
Yes, and yeah.
But you do have a new diesel, which I'm sure we'll get onto.
Yes, I bought a new car. So we will get onto that at the end, just to make people that final giggle as they disappear. So yeah, we went to Germany to Decon. We got a lovely guided tour around half of the museum because then we ran out of time because we were called off somewhere else. And we have a hilarious picture of you on what looks like a penny farthing. Did that go into print?
That's more than a penny farthing. Yes, in print.
It's in print. And it was fascinating. It was very motorbikey, which isn't really my bag, but actually from an engineering point of view,
it was on those levels because that was
all they had.
Yes.
Yeah.
They hadn't invented the third and fourth wheel yet.
It was
terrible times over there post-war.
Yeah. Well, pre.
Well, depends which war you're talking about.
Well, it is
true.
It's
going to be post-A war.
Yeah, no.
The Gallic invasion by Romans. Yeah, it's post-war technically.
But they had cars before the 30s. Anyway, let's move on from the war. We got in trouble last time for that. We did the show, and that was great. We conducted some podcasts over there as well with some interesting people. We made stronger links with some really cool German companies that we haven't had much to do with in the past.
Dr. Wack is quite big over there.
Yeah, and he's
looking to come into the UK.
They are, but they already supply one brand. I can't remember, was it Porsche or somebody, who all the stuff is actually Dr. Wack underneath. And they are the OEM supplier to one of the big German car manufacturers over here.
I'm surprised if it was Porsche, but I'm not saying it couldn't be, but I always thought they were more Koch and Sonaxy.
Yeah, I don't know, but it's one of them. May or may not be. And so there was them, and there was also Koch were there, but we didn't seem to manage to talk to them much, to be honest.
No, very, very strange stand. Didn't have much interaction as far as we could see. Maybe it was just you.
I do tend to scare people. Yeah. And there was at least two dry icy people, which is interesting because last year or the time before, there was only the one.
One of the dry icy people had a very cool antibacterial dosing spray gun thing that coats the inside of your aircon and lasts for up to 12 months.
That's cool.
Which is quite cool.
I thought it stung quite a lot, but then I didn't know it was for oral use.
Oral?
Yeah.
Suppository, mate.
My bad.
That's what the tip's for.
I see. That's the same mistake all over again. God, I keep dragging this down, don't I? And then we met up with lots of other people. Timo was there, it was fun. And we went out with the guys to a Italian restaurant in
Just
Germany.
Doing one syllable at a time.
Yes, the brain's slowing down as I get old. But the hilarious thing there was that we were talking about the Megatest that we do in this mag, and there were some people who wanted to talk at us for a long time about graphene and waxes and stuff like that, and I went out for 5 minutes for a little vaporoo on my device, and it turned into a 45-minute conversation.
There was also the waiter that basically point blank refused to serve us until I started speaking Italian at him, and suddenly he was my best friend.
Yeah, it's a good thing you started speaking Italian because my Italian sounds remarkably like my French. So that was interesting, and the show itself was really good. Lots of live presentations. Lars did a great job, Mr. Colourlock up there, and lots of other people we know, and it was great to see Maritz.
Yeah, they actually had the live wash hall in there as well, so they had containment mats out and doing live demonstrations from the likes of Koch, which again, live education.
It's what we like.
Shows needs.
Yeah, and I say Nico and Maritz were both on good form, and so read all about it. And then of course we get to the crown and glory, the Holy Ghost, if we continue the Trinity thingamajiggles, Waxstock itself, and we've already kind of actually talked a bit about Waxstock, haven't we?
A little bit, yes. You don't understand the quote that I used to start the article off at all because you didn't watch wrestling in the 90s and 2000s.
No, I didn't.
Nah, okay. Well,
I was studying.
If you didn't watch the wrestling in the 90s and 2000s, listener, then you won't get it either. So
Yeah.
Just skip that part.
Just look at the photos.
Yeah, they're pretty photos.
Yeah, they're all right, really. And the things going on there was Project W was that BMW of Cavs. Just an FYI, keep an eye on the Lake Country YouTube channel because Cav and I do a bitch up, mash up sort of video where it's Subaru versus BMW. It doesn't go so well. We do another one which is with Kelly as well as wax versus coating arguments.
So you're going to say it's like Kelly's McLaren versus BMW.
I've already gotten enough trouble
for calling that.
Yeah, I called it an average performance car and he got very stroppy with me.
It does drop to average once it catches fire.
Yeah.
Sorry, so when it catches.
Oh, okay. Just for the benefit of the tape. That was all good. And then, we did the mag. So that's CCA. We did a couple of things. Went to a nuclear power station covered in silicon spray and...
Not the power station, the cars.
The cars were, yeah. The power station was too, but it was supposed to be.
Yeah.
That was the good type. What else did we do on CCA?
Went to see Meguiar's, which we'll talk about later on because that's to do with a section later on.
Yep. And we also...
And you had the Kelly and Mike Harris.
Kelly and Mike Harris. We did a couple of training days with a pair of them.
No. Kelly and Mike Phillips. Kelly Harris and Mike Phillips.
That's it. God,
it's got warmer in it. It's 26 degrees now. My brain's slowing down.
The temperature's
this is the problem
rising.
with having a silicon-based brain. We're silicon-based, aren't we?
I don't know. I have no idea. So we've done all that and we've done Meguiar's and stuff, and I think that's all good. So that was CCA, and there are other bits in there. We did the Practical Classics show, restoration show. That was a giggle. I went around there with a camera and talked to people. There was a Sol Gel thing which was of interest, and we saw Furniture Clinic. Lovely to see Peter again, being chased by old men asking about the leather interiors of their MGBs, and me just chuckling to myself, thinking they're all vinyl anyway.
Cover stories are
they're wild,
very predictable.
So then we had a news section. Now we used to do an A to Z of news, which I always used to like.
This was actually before the CCA thing.
That's true.
The first bit. Yeah,
it's true. But we always used to have A to Z, which were literally 26, normally actually 24 and a half short phrases about little news stories, little kind of updates and stuff like that, which I kind of enjoyed. But from a formatting point of view, it's a pain. And from
trying to find why
meaningful news.
Ivan Lacroix's got so much exposure from us over the years just by having a name beginning with Y.
Yes.
I think last time we had to use Yanimize, and wow.
Yeah. Gee, oh God, yeah. And so we've done.
He has launched a new range of car care, by the way.
He has indeed. Yeah. And actually, we've been contacted. We were supposed to. I haven't even replied to that email yet.
No.
Probably to.
Moving on.
But they're longer news stories and sort of more depth and interest and stuff like that, and a little bit of kind of comment. So, moving hot-scotching over to the new product sections. Now, we monstered the new products this time. We have done more actual kind of testing of products for the new products as opposed to mega testing than we ever have before, I think. And we've done quite a few twin tests. Now, Ian, what were your highlights of what I now call software because it alternates it from hardware?
I think of all the products we went through, and
we should call
bearing in mind, we probably tested about 90% of the products in front of us, which might think, oh, God, you don't test 10% of them. Yeah, but that's like 5 or 6 products that maybe we haven't got in time for doing the testing day, or that they need long-term testing, or we're just passing comment on the fact that they exist, but we haven't actually been able to get hold of them because they're interesting.
Yeah, description.
We actually tested about 90% of the products that are in there, and it's amazing the breadth of
talent.
Not technology, the chemistry that is still coming out. When you consider, well, how much more can there be to invent? I think standout product for me this time is quite an interesting one because I absolutely loved Flies Undone, Dodo Juice's bug remover when that came out, and we had that in last issue.
I think we had it in last issue. In fact, I was looking at it on the show. Oh no, that's a rinse aid. Have you nicked the Flies Undone?
I think I've used it all.
Yeah,
but I'm not saying it's been beaten. Mm-hmm. I'm saying I found another favourite bug remover, which, frankly, given the current weather, is quite a useful thing. Which might be biasing me slightly to why I like so much. But can
you have 2 favourites? Like having 2 wives, you get in trouble for it.
Do you?
Oh, okay.
I think I'd get in enough trouble having one. Doesn't happen so far, but
and that was Stjarnagloss. No, it wasn't. It was Sansum.
No, yeah, because we put Sansum up against Koch Chemie.
That was it.
So fairly big German manufacturer, might have heard of them. Supply Europe.
And their bug remover is good. It was a tough test,
but Bugsy really did win through and
out debugged Koch. Yeah.
Maybe not. You'll have to read and find it.
Oh, you're trying to do the air of mystery.
Back pedal.
So it's your highlight.
Bugsy, really good product. We don't hear much from Samsung.
Yeah.
But they're only based across the border from us. So
They are, and the
maybe at
paperwork's
some
pretty
point
small,
they'll get passports and come over and see us from Wales.
I think he's allowed over. He's been here. Yeah.
Oh, that'd be nice.
Pretty sure. They don't even charge on the bridge now.
Do they have to give them a talk about electricity and...
Oh, that came from you, not me, just FYI. I love the Welsh. And so that was your highlight. My highlight in the software department, or the wetware as I'm now going to call it, is FicTech.
Wet.
No, just wetware. No, wets. Although I did have a re-listen to, what was it, Chili's Pepper. Anyway, and it was wet. There is a connection, but I can't think why. Is it? No, never mind. It's gone. FicTech, because they have a really cool product range, expansive as well. It's huge, and it's a mixture of, in terms of the branding, kind of formal and smart in a kind of autoglimmy Swiss Vaxy kind of way, but actually they've got a real sense of humour. And Ben, the guy's kind of behind a lot of that, we talked to in France, and he's hilarious. And then you'll see from their advert in the magazine as well, they've got a great sense of humour. And so, yeah, just look a little closer at the details. So, for example, in the background of their advert, they've superimposed little tiny frogs. And you can't see them unless you're really looking, but little frogs. I think it's hilarious. But no, their products are solid, and they do a tutti fruity fallout remover that we liked because it reacted reasonably quickly, but not super quickly, and didn't go off. It was a gel based, and I liked it from a heavy decon point of view. It was a strong product, and we tried quite a few fallout removers and fallout wheel cleaners with added fallout remover, and there were some strong ones and some adequate ones.
Turtle Wax,
Sonax the Beast, yes.
Turtle Wax, I can't pronounce the entire name.
Yeah, Stana was the other. Huel, and I like that too actually, yes. As a wheel cleaner. That was cool. So yeah, that was my favourite liquid. In terms of hardware, we've been spoiled this issue.
Oh, there's so much new hardware, cool stuff.
And yeah, particularly cool gadgety stuff. Mm-hmm. What was your highlight?
Really sad. Carscope tire brush.
Yes,
it's really cool. And yeah, I know. God, yeah, you're saying it's a really cool tire brush. No, there's actually put some thought into it, and it's a nice little packaged brush with its own little holder. Which again is not making this sound any cooler, but the individual bristles are so tightly packed, but fine enough that you can actually get into all of the little crevices and bits around the tyre. It's nice to use. You don't get tire dressing all over your hands. Rinse it out.
Well, I still managed to get tire dressing over my hands and my
but that's because
face.
You're licking it.
Yeah,
you shouldn't lick it.
Okay, it gets in the beard. But the weird thing with that brush is when you feel it, it feels like a material.
Yeah,
that you're wiping, like a silk or a satin, not a brush.
And it's really heavy duty. It's heavy duty use as well. So I mean, I've been using it quite a bit in the last couple of weeks, and it's stood up to it nicely.
And it's got a rubberized sort of grip, hasn't it? So it's kind of quite nice.
It's plastic.
I'm sure it's sort of semi-soft touch, plasticky, rubberized. I think it is. I don't know, but I think it is. But yeah, no, that was a cool product. Well, we got Carbon Collective sent us over some cool things as well.
The mini polisher and
mini polisher was it was all right. It was all right, but it was the thing.
It serves a purpose in a market.
Yeah, and but the thing that I really liked from them was their electric pump sprayer, and it was
and cordless.
Yes,
just to underline,
just to clarify. So imagine a 1.8 litre pump sprayer with a decent sized lithium battery in the bottom, and you pour in anything as long as it's not too caustic or acidic or solventy, and then press a button and it powers up, and it basically constantly makes, I think, 36 psi or 2.5 bars, something like that, and you can wander around spraying it until your heart's content. And it comes with two nozzles, one for foaming, one for non-foaming, and foaming, it could you weren't a big fan of it as from a snow foam point of view?
No, not really. It was one of those things that it's almost being forced into something that's not really designed for. So whilst it will foam up, if you haven't got access to a snow foam lance or a pressure washer and everything like that and space to do it, then yeah, sure, it's another option. But you can get pump foamers that work better than that, like hand pump foamers. Where I think its value is going to lie is for things like wheel acids and no, it's not, because it's not. Yeah,
it's not good for
chemical resistance.
It doesn't have the Viton seals and all the rest of it.
But you can get pH neutral wheel cleaners.
Yeah.
And so for things like that, or
interior fabric stuff.
Yeah, absolutely, definitely for interior clean convertible roofs, things like that.
I liked it.
It's good, and it does actually produce decent amounts of pressure and pump out and last for a while.
It does, and the nice thing is the pump will reach its pressure, and then it'll automatically stop, and then as soon as the pressure goes down, it'll then restart again. And it's
So
nicely
it's not on constant run.
Exactly. It was a nice piece of kit, and it's just USB charged as well. I thought there was definitely a place for that, and it's a sort of thing. Occasionally, when we do these tests and stuff, obviously all the products are either go off in competitions, or we sell it with 100% proceeds going to charity, that sort of thing, or send them out to other people to sort of secondary test them. But some things just mysteriously disappear.
Where is that cordless Henry?
Yeah, cordless Henry's disappeared. That's gone in there. But other things like the tyre brush has disappeared. I think that carbon collective thing might do a vanishing act. It was that good. So
tell you what, another thing from hardware as well. And I only bring this up because I've got additional comments on it that I didn't put into the text because didn't realise it until after we were using it. It was the poker stools.
Yeah, they were cool.
These are big, heavy duty. I mean, comfortable detailing seats aren't going to fall apart on you. They've got nice memory foam cushion on them. Everything. They've got these little holders that you can attach on the side. You pay extra for, but they're really, really nice, comfortable seats to work from. I was using it the other day with a Flex cordless XFE, and I put the thing down onto the machine holder on the sides. It kind of slots in a bit like you have they're wall hangers, but almost vertical. Plugged it into there, dropped the back down, and things started spinning all around the place because it almost needs to put a little
lip for the trigger.
Just to hide it from the trigger. One little bit of criticism there, but apart from that, really awesome seats.
Yeah, and I'm as anyone who's seen pictures knows that I'm a fat man, and I sat up and down, bounced up and down, rolled around, and completely didn't break it. So that is a credit. If I can do it, anybody can frankly get on there without it falling apart. So really nice quality as well. I built it from scratch.
Wheels.
Good casters, good bearings. Ours was a pre-release, and the bolts for attaching the seat were too short. But thankfully, I'm a man of many M8 bolts, and we were able to get that thing, and many hammers. Yes, and it was all fairly straightforward to assemble. And another top quality item there from the Polish company. So good stuff there. And I'm just trying to think. The other thing was the HLR.
Yes, final thing for this section, I think. Back in November last year, we were over at repairs in Vermazzo. Vermazzo? Yeah, Vermazzo.
Italy.
We were in Italy. And we were in the big concrete cavern lair.
I think they call it a training centre.
Yes, but it kind of looks like it could be the inside of a volcano lair. It's kind of got that feel to it.
What was the car in there? It was good. Was it? It was SM.
No, it was the
DS. It was a DS.
DS250.
We had arguments about this. I can't remember.
I didn't have an argument. I didn't know, and I think I asked you, and you looked it up.
I know. I looked it up and then came to the wrong thing, and then realised lastly that it was the wrong thing. I think it was.
It was a Citroen. Citroen, yeah.
Citroen DS.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. We know that much.
Anyway, completely irrelevant to the point. We were setting up. I think I was setting up a gimbal. You were setting up a camera, and we looked around and. Matt and Francesco and Andrea were over in the corner, huddled around a duffel bag together. So naturally, we go, "Oh, what's that then? What's that? What's that?" And they pulled out this prototype for the. I keep on referring to it as the first. It's technically not the first battery powered machine that Roops have made because they made the Hybrid Nano, and that is a battery machine. But that's not the kind of machine I'm talking about. It's their first full size machine, and it's a 75mm. Battery polisher. Yeah. So they were going to. We said, okay, right. We won't talk about it. We won't say anything. We won't publish these sneaky pictures just taken while you're standing over there with the long lens and like that. But just tell us when it's coming out. We'll give you a little bit of a push of publicity. Say, yeah, we saw this. It was great. Just let us know.
Well, they did when they published it.
Yeah, they just after they published it, they went, "Oh yeah, we've published that now." I was like, "What was it?" Yeah, we know that because we saw it on Facebook. Thanks for that. But to his credit, Matt came down with it. Yeah, and we had a play around and
with the machine.
Range. Yes, we like playing around with that. Yeah, and
it was good.
Did some testing. Yeah, good little machine. Again, I'm kind of revealing a little bit of the review in this, but what I really do honestly think is that very good machine. Some will like it, some won't get it, but it's the springboard for root pairs going into battery technology with the rest of their machines are what's most exciting about this, I think.
Yeah, when the LHR15 comes out in electric mode.
HLR15, as it will then
be. Then there'll be some really good twin tests with the machines from our point of view as well, with the Flex offerings and various others. But why don't we take a little break now, just for your good as much as ours, and we'll be back with you very shortly. I hope you've been enjoying this Pro Detailer Magazine podcast. I just wanted to let you know that issue 15 is now available to order on our website, www.prodetailermagazine.com, and it is stuffed full of stuff which on this podcast we've been talking about, so I won't bore you with any further. Now, back to the podcast. We're back.
Through the magic of radio.
It is awesome, isn't it? We have talked about all the new products and hardware. We've talked about the news and the car care adventures. Next is the guides section. And you have done some great guides for us actually this time. We've got, first of all, a nice...
This time.
Well, I mean... well, normally they're more collaborative, but this time actually you very much sort of taken the guides on...
Well, I'm not taking responsibility. Don't try and put it all on me.
Well, we kick off anyway with a guide to... Actually, I did have some input on this. Detailing vintage cars.
We've missed one.
Oh, okay.
Because at the end of hardware, there is a little mini test on detailing brushes.
Oh, yes.
I want to touch on this quickly, actually.
Make yourselves comfortable, ladies and gentlemen.
I shouldn't say I want to touch on this quickly just before guides. Can we edit this? Anyway, this is a test that we've decided to start doing to highlight the differences between detailing brushes and how one brush does not fit all. Mm-hmm. So for this first one, we've kind of kicked off with the hardest test for them, which is pitching them in against piano black trim. Now, first of all, we started out doing a shout out on socials just to see what everyone's using and things like that. And we got a couple of suggestions back, one of which was Carbon Collective, which we duly went and bought their set of brushes off their website. We got a couple of suggestions that were all of the same source manufacturer, and for that we actually used Macro ones because they put a lot of effort into the design of these brushes, and we had a long talk with Marco, I think, when we were over there in November about this. And
it's about the combination of stiff and soft and
how the structure is put into different star patterns. It's very,
it sounds geeky, but it's quite good.
Yes. And who else did we have in there? So we've got a Detail Factory curveball brush in there. This is new palm held brush that describes itself as being ultra soft. So I thought, okay, we'll shove that in there. It's quite good for large areas, so good for dashes, everything like that. So that will come in a later test. And then we put in the yellow and red generic brush that you tend to get as the base, the Tesco.
Cheap and cheerful.
Yeah, Tesco Basics or whatever they're called now. Finally, there's a great contribution from a guy who said, why do you use a paintbrush? So we put a paintbrush in there.
I mean, I've got to be careful.
It's wrong on so many levels.
Yeah, but we get it the whole time. You don't need a wash, we just use a sponge. It's the same sort of principle of not getting it. And so we put one in there just...
for argument's sake, we put one in there. So, right, okay, well, we'll have a look and see what it does. So, sheets of black acrylic plastic, and ran a test with all of them just to see...
Well, first of all, you melted one, didn't you?
Yes, I did melt one accidentally. And to be fair, I own up to that in the magazine.
Yeah, but we have a nice fruit bowl.
Yes, it's great. We started off by peeling off the protective film that comes with the plastic and found there were lots of microfine scratches over what was supposed to be otherwise perfect plastic, and we've always experienced before it's absolutely pristine under there. Hence using them for the test instead of getting some paint bits up. So I thought, okay, well, use a heat gun, just heat those little mini scratches out, and worked perfectly.
Yeah,
but I'm incredibly lazy. So I thought, you know what, I'll just take this whole panel and just stick it under the IR lamps for a minute, something like that. They'll sort it out. And to be fair, it did start to bow up a little bit. I thought, okay, it's just relaxing. And if I'd taken it out from under the IR about 20 seconds earlier, I think it would have been absolutely fine to use. But I got distracted by a squirrel or something. Turned around and it was Elephant Man all over the place.
The panel, not the squirrel.
Yes.
Yeah. So well, it's fine. So anyway, we got pristine plastic.
Then we took the wrapping off the next one. It was the same that we turned it over and found out we'd been taking the wrapping off the wrong side. I say we in all this.
I wasn't there.
It was me. I did it. So anyway, we had this pristine surface to test it out on. So use every single brush. ValetPRO as well. ValetPRO is the other one. Yep.
They have good range.
They have a range that includes their classic ones. They're sort of their sash detailing brush, which is the generic one. But again, for this one, we had what they term as their ultra soft brush. Yep. To test out on this particular test. We've tried to give them sort of a decent shot at it.
Yeah, everyone we've tried to pick the softest in the range that we've seen.
Yes, although irritatingly, and another one we did. I keep on forgetting buns. Work stuff.
Yes, we got those from John, didn't we?
Yeah, brilliant set. But again, with work stuff, we found after we'd got this set through. That there is another level below or above, depending on how you look at it, of ultra soft brush with a nice wooden handle, which we didn't have. But we're not testing this to say a manufacturer is particularly good or particularly bad, but just to show that just one brush isn't enough to cover all the surfaces. So what might work for one will actually cause damage to another surface, perhaps. And we found this with the piano black trim, which you'll read about in the magazine, obviously, because you're going to buy it.
Well, basically, so this is going to be a multi-part test. So the first part we've done is how soft is the softest brush? This is perfect for piano black trim and stuff that marks up easily. The next test, though, which will be in a future magazine, is going to be how good are they, for example, at cleaning exterior thing going along window rubbers. And there, being softy-softy is nowhere near as useful as being stiffy-stiffy. And as a consequence, we might find that the tables are turned. So hopefully by the end of the series, and there'll probably be another 2 at least to do, we'll be able to give you some guidance on which are the best brushes for soft stuff, which is the best for external heavy-duty clearing, and, for example, chemical resistance. I mean, ValetPRO do one that I've been using for a year or 2 now is a blue chemical-resistant brush, which is definitely not soft.
Great for wheels, though.
Yeah, exactly.
Not gloss black wheels, but for general cleaning.
Yeah. So, brushes, it's kind of horses for courses, but brushes for jobs.
Yeah, but again, it's mostly to prove the point that there is a range within a range, as it were. So, and pointing out that regardless of it, paintbrush is not one of those things.
Yeah, and we actually found paintbrushes mark more than anything. Yes, so, to that chap who thought that a paintbrush is good enough.
Thanks for the suggestion. Always good to get suggestions.
Yeah, I mean,
even if
wrong.
they're a bit silly. Sounds harsh. He hasn't got a right to reply. No, we respect your right to be different.
Yep. Everybody makes mistakes. Guides, vintage. We did vintage detailing, and bear in mind, vintage cars are made of different materials in different ways in a different time, and we feel that it was about time.
I've got the Hovis advert going on in my
And the guides we give really is for old school paint and the sort of materials that you get, for example, a lot of brass and even bronze sometimes on these old cars. And
I've never seen bronze on a car before.
I have.
Have you?
Yeah. What? I used to hang around with vintage cars a lot. I mean, not like go down to the pub with them.
Explains your conversation skills.
Yeah, thank you.
But bronze. What's bronze?
So cast bronze fixtures I have seen before.
Yeah. Okay. No, I'm not. I'm not disputing it, but I'm just surprised because I've never seen that before.
Yeah. No, I mean, I'm not saying it's common, but
what's bronze again?
Bronze,
because bronze is tin and copper, isn't it?
It's a different. Yeah, maybe I can't remember. It's been a long time since I did alloys at school.
Pretty sure I learned that from Poldark. We got a tin mine, and they're not even. No, they're in Somerset. We got a tin mine.
No, they're in Cornwall.
Sorry, it's the same place.
You got to be careful. No, they're different countries.
I'm trying to tick off an area of the UK with every single comment if I can.
When you're murdered, I'll have no idea where to start investigating. If I can be bothered.
I'd be peaceful at least.
The vintage car is really good, and it's just an interesting thing. If you're not, if you don't have a vintage car, it's still an interesting thing because also from a professional point of view, if somebody turns up in a 1929 Armstrong Siddeley 17 horsepower, you will have a better idea of how to deal with it.
But it's about pointing out that detailing isn't always about making things better. It's about keeping things as they are, because that's where a lot of the value is in some of these vintage vehicles. And
patina and preservation.
You can go really wrong if you start making things look good that people actually prefer to look a little bit ropey.
Well, yeah. I mean, hell, the cover car of issue 3 was a Mercedes 300 SL convertible, and that was no machines allowed because it was original paint. And if you took a machine to it, even if you made the paint perfect, you would cut its value in a quarter.
Yes.
And if you went through and it needed a respray, then, well, you'd be going to prison. So, it's an important thing. And then also we did one that people have been asking for ages, which is convertible top recolouring.
Mm-hmm.
And this is kind of...
It's not going to be the sort of thing that everybody wants to attempt at home.
No.
But it goes through the steps and shows you how you can achieve it. But there's a lot of, I wouldn't say a lot of caveats, but a lot of things you really need to follow. So obviously doing the pre-cleaning and everything like that first, it runs through that side of it. But ensuring that everything is absolutely bone dry before you start. Different ways of applying it and... Yeah, different little hints and rules to follow and if you want to give it a try.
You know how some detailers have got kind of specialities. So some, for example, who love doing headlight restorations, and some people who are particularly good at, I don't know, wet sanding or something like that. Yeah. For you, convertible tops has always been your kind of thing.
To be honest, it's kind of the reason I started detailing, because at the time I owned an MGF. And
you still do own an MGF?
No, I own an MGTF now, actually.
Oh, get you. Well, that's
and I think owning's a little bit of a stretch. I have the V5 and it's parked in the corner of a car park.
It's your responsibility.
Yeah, technically.
As is a Renault 5.
Strike. But no, when I first was starting to really get into detailing, I had an F, and I couldn't find anybody that could
give an F
that could properly clean it out and recolour it for me. Still can't to this day. No. But I found out how to do it to other people's cars. So yeah, it's something I've spent a lot of time doing, and I'd like to think I know my beans a little bit about it. Mm-hmm. I have to have some sort of specialism in life. It can't all be a waste of time, can it? Yes.
Oh dear. Well, in other terms, we have anodized metallic surfaces, which is another topic which is interesting, particularly if, like me, you own a mid-noughties Audi or two, because they love anodized aluminium. And
not all of them.
Not all of them. There's some different, but you have...
again, massive caveats at the start of this article.
Yeah.
Check what you've got before you assume it's anodized, because it can go really wrong if you so it's like, oh, actually that was painted. Yeah. Oh shit.
Or it's, this anodized steel has melted, much like plastic. So yeah, that's so that is another really interesting, and it is very niche-y.
It turns out it shows definitively why these analyzed surfaces turn milky, and what, if anything, you can do to stop it turning milky in the first place, or once you've managed to possibly correct it.
Yeah, and you've done lots of tests with different types of chemicals, so it's kind of a test and a guide as well, which is kind of a fun article.
Testy guide.
A testy guide, as opposed to a testes guide, which is a bit different. Now, in terms of other guides, we do have two guest contributors that you may have heard of before, who have written us some nice articles. We have Mr. Mike Phillips from America, who's Mr. 3D in America, head of global training, I believe, and he has written us a lovely guide.
About abrasives and
about abrasive technology,
how it's progressed, and how, frankly, it does all your work for you.
Yeah, and 3D are one of the few compound manufacturers who make their own powder, as in abrasive powder. So that is a kind of an expertise that is rarely
and it absolutely
accessible.
Does not look like cocaine if you're taking it through an airport.
No,
absolutely not.
Not at all. So we had that, and that was really good. And the whole 3D introduction with Mike coming over, and we've met with the cool guys Simon and Co from 3D in the UK. So we hope to do some more work with them in the future. So that'd be good. And we've got also a guide on sanding. So this is a kind of intro to different types of sanding from Mr. Kelly Harris, Global Director of Training for Lake Country.
This is the start of a wider range of articles on quite a technical subject. So just going through the different options there are: damp sanding, wet sanding, dry sanding, and what the benefits are and what you can achieve technically.
So that's really good, and it's nice to have that sort of authority. I think these are the two premium detailers in the Western Hemisphere when it comes to experience and reputation and all the rest of it. So it's really good to have those. Interviews. We do 2 interviews, and one is with a Mr. Marco Bassini, who is from Monza in Italy, who runs a very cool garage, which is like a race shop and a custom car building shop and a detailing shop.
They've got a lot of businesses going on within businesses there, and it's awesome.
I wouldn't want to do their tax return. It's that complicated.
He's also got a body shop as well. So he comes from both ends of the scale, as it were. But he is Rupes. He's not really their in-house trainer, but he comes out along over to Vermazzo, which is about a 15-minute drive away from Monza, and does a lot of their training on site. He's involved with a couple of other companies as well.
I think he is a detailing centre. I think he
himself at Carcade Garage Detailing Centre is a trainer in his own right, but he also does Rubez training off-site as well.
Yeah, Yeah, so he's tight in that, and he was a lovely chap, and we spent some time with him when they were out there, and then subsequently did an interview after. He had a very special, a very interesting car in that had been custom built.
Yeah, this was supposed to originally go in last issue, but we couldn't do that because we taken loads of photos of this really cool car that he had in there that was custom built, and it wasn't being released until January, and there was a press embargo on it. We had a lot of embargoes in the last issue.
We did. It was complicated, and then we found that Supercar Blondie, or whatever her name is, got the exclusive on it, and that's why we couldn't. And did a video.
Was that what it was?
Yeah, she did a video of it in somewhere like Abu Dhabi or Dubai.
That's fair enough. I'll watch Supercar Blondie videos over our own.
Yeah. Yep.
There's not a lot I wouldn't watch over our own videos.
And then we also did an interview all the way in Hawaii with Sheldon, who is a chef turned detailer. And
we did it remotely, to be fair.
Yeah, we were. I did a push for us to go.
We had to meet him halfway.
Yeah. And they said, "Well, that's Miami." I was like, "Oh no, you can leave it. We'll be all right." So that was fun, and that was an interesting interview, which brings us really on to the elephant in the room, the Megatest. I'm looking at you expectantly.
I'm looking at you disgustedly.
Okay, well, the plus ça change. So, Megatest, we are testing... I went all Boris, didn't I? We are testing...
What? Retires?
Graphene, woof.
Forced retirement.
So, we, as I think we've discussed in the past, we're testing graphene as a material, and we got the lovely Dr. John Hogg of Angel Wax to cook up some waxes, which all looked and smelt and tasted the same. They're all black, and the idea was that one is just an organic wax, the other is the same organic wax with a bit of SiO2 blended correctly into it, and then ditto one with graphene correctly put in via a dispersion, which has been assisted with AGM, which is Applied Graphene Materials, who we went and saw in the last issue, or 2 issues ago.
No, last issue.
Last issue. And the idea was that these waxes were unlabelled bar a number, and we send them out to a number of people ranging from professional detailers.
We sent 2 out of the 3. Nobody had any idea. Well, they couldn't just look at these 3 and say, well, at least one of these is a graphene, or at least one of these is an SiO2. It generally was a double blind test.
Yeah. So we sent 2 of the 3 waxes out to about a dozen. Well, we sent a couple more out, but in terms of what we got back, about a dozen groups, and as I say, range from professional detailers to manufacturers to amateur detailers to, I don't want to say
professional reviewers.
Yeah, professional reviewers. I think there has been a couple mentions of social influencers, but I almost feel that's like a dirty word. I think, professional reviewers, people who day job.
It's a nicer way of saying it.
It is a nicer way, and I think it gives more cred to those who are involved. And so they basically tested these things blind and gave us our feedback. And the idea was
entirely in their own way.
Exactly.
We gave no guidance on how they were to test it. All we said was we want these statistics back as part of however you test.
Yeah, we want them to look at these metrics, i.e. things like gloss and ease of application and that sort of thing.
Quite an important thing would be to say what we didn't want from this, which was any metrics on longevity.
Yes.
Because when we first spoke to John about doing this, and he cackled on the phone at me when I suggested sending out things blind to people for them to try and identify which was which.
He misheard you. He thought you were going to go out and blind people.
He could have been cackling. He could have been reciting Shakespeare. I can't tell with the Scottish accent. There's 3. One thing he said was that these waxes are literally going to show you the initial effects. They're not going to be able to show durability or anything like that. You need to do a lot more fettling, and to be fair, when anyone's making a wax, they don't just chuck a little bit of powder in and say that's an SiO2. They do a lot more than just that. But
some do that.
Some do that. It's more to see if each individual ingredient, SiO2 and graphene, if they can improve on a basic carnauba wax. Yeah. And I think that's what it's done quite well.
It's achieved that. And so we've got all the results back from people. Some people, like lovely Andreas Schwarzinger from Switzerland, he wrote us literally a 4,300 word account of things with a little bit of a rant included. We've included most or half of his.
We haven't censored it. The only reason we had to cut it down was because we didn't have space left in the magazine to have 4 pages. So he's got 2 pages, and they are stuffed full of text with very little images. So there's a lot to read there still, and it's all perfectly valid that he was writing. But we took away a little bit of the subjectivity about the detailing industry as a whole, because it wasn't really relevant directly to the text.
There's quite a lot of narrative on
that.
there.
But what we will do though is publish that on probably on Facebook or something. There's a little downloadable PDF that you can read the entire thing. Just so we're not hiding anything. We're not censoring anything.
Yeah.
It's just we only have so much space in the magazine.
There is, and then we've had quite a few who've done their kind of reviews via the medium of video.
Dance. Oh.
Video, and so we, for example, John DeLue, Forensic Man. We have created an account, but he's also done a couple of videos. One is already on the YouTubes, and the other will be coming out shortly.
They're all QR coded in there?
Mostly QR coded in there, yep. And Andres has done a video too that we will post on the Pro Detailer channel at some point soon. Mm-hmm. I need to get a refresh link for that as it happens. And various other Paul Dolden and stuff like that. And also people have been talking about it in their podcast as well. So Specky and Paul, they've been chatting about it. I think it's come up in the Speed 6 podcast as well. So, it's very 21st century, this. And we've been kind of bringing in results from all these things and putting them together. And we come to some interesting, if not entirely unexpected, conclusions in the magazine. And then we also test a similar principle, but we knew what we were testing, coatings with a bit of graphene in and coatings with purely SiO2 coatings. And those results were much clearer and interesting. So it's like a little addendum at the end of the Megatest, but definitely something worth reading.
I mean, with going back slightly to the wax portion of the test, there's almost like a sub-test going on in there that wasn't intentional when we started it, but we realised probably about a month into it that, hang on a minute, we are also almost testing if reviewers can actually tell these things. It's like the statistic you get that something like 70% of trained sommeliers can't actually tell blind the difference between red and white wine.
It is, speaking as somebody who spent 2 years studying wine, I can tell you. And is blind. But no, even from a taste test, I'm a super smeller, which means my nose, I can tell people by their body odour at about 50 paces.
Which is where they normally stay, luckily.
Yeah, thank God. And yeah, you'll be amazed. As soon as, and the same is true for food. As soon as you blindfold yourself and you cut out one of those senses, it is really difficult sometimes to tell things.
But it's great because it cuts out confirmation bias.
Yes.
Completely. And while it's not sort of definitive saying, oh, every reviewer doesn't know the difference, there were a few of them that did manage to pick up on it, but all of them were saying that these things are really close, which I think is probably one of the biggest revelations about this, is just how close an organic wax is to an SiO2 wax to a graphene test when you take out durability.
Take out durability and take out fancy pants labels. I mean, just to give you, for example, where we do our podcast is surrounded at the moment with the new products from the last couple of issues. So we're talking 300 bottles of product. And if you look at the different labels, some of them are really exciting. Just, you expect the product inside to be really good because the label's good and what it says is good. And
conversely as well, I've kind of mentally written off quite a few products pre-testing just by looking at the label. So I'm judgmental as well.
Yeah, and I think cutting out that has been a fascinating experience. But anyway, have a read of the Megatest and see what you think. And I think it's an interesting one. We'll be doing normal Megatests for at least the next couple of issues, and then perhaps doing another popular-based one later down the line. We haven't actually thought about what the next Megatest is going to be, which is probably a conversation we'll have
in about 4 months.
Yeah, I was about to say, a bit later on. But anyway, it just leaves me to really say thank you to all those who gave up their time.
One last thing as well, because we have some showcase cars, which we do need to briefly cover.
Yeah, no, I am going to cover it. I was wrapping up the Megatest. Yeah, no.
Oh, I thought you.
I was wrapping up the Megatest.
Oh, I thought you were just telling us to go.
Okay. Which just leaves me to say thank you very much to all of those for
listening.
Shut up, go away. For the go involved with the Megatest. I really appreciate the time, frankly, that you put into it and the effort you put into it. And some guys particularly have gone, above and beyond, and it really is appreciated. And we hope that our readers and you guys will kind of appreciate the amount of effort that's gone into it from third parties, because it wouldn't have worked without them. So that's that. Moving briefly on, we have other Trader Talk articles. There's one really interesting one developing a ceramic coating with ValetPRO, and we popped down
all of the steps that they had to go through with testing against different benchmarking in the first place. Actually, quite a lot of work that went into it, which not every company I think goes through.
No, I'm pretty sure they don't. And that
but they have quite an expensive way of doing it as well. ValetPRO.
Yes, big time. I was talking to Mark mostly about it, and in fact I was talking to Greg at ValetPRO yesterday, as happens. But anyway, Clang, yeah. They actually developed their own ceramic coating and tested the side-ons, and lots of SGS reports that we had eyes on but weren't allowed to print. So, with fascinating stats.
Oops. Too late now.
Yeah, and the cost of those things terrifying. But anyway. We've got that, and then we go on to the showcase. Now, the showcase is quite small this time, but we've got two really cool articles for different reasons. The first one is a Volvo 145, which is a Volvo close to my heart because when I was a kid, it's what other kids' parents had, were the proper boxy old Volvos before the 760s and 940s and all that jazz.
All the cool looking ones.
All the cool ones. These were the proper, the Good Life style 70s ones. And so this car, I can't remember all the backstory, but basically it involved Johnny Carpervert, who is ex-Fifth Gear guy, and I've had the privilege of meeting once or twice, and he's a lovely chap, and he's been involved with it, and Bryn Musselwhite is the current owner, custodian of it, and he's a seriously cool photographer from back in the day. And I remember I went up there for a shoot, and by God, the memories he has, which I obviously don't have because I'm young and weren't there, but I was the one reading the magazines that he was putting together at the time, and I was the one attending the shows that he was organising back in the noughties, and it was just a brilliant perspective. And that was detailed, which is what we kind of covered in the showcase side of it. And I'm trying desperately to remember the details. Jack Smythe. That's the name I was looking for in my head. And he's done a great, and again, it's a sympathetic detail. That was a thing. It kind of follows on to the vintage detail, even though it's not technically vintage. So that's cool. And I love the shoot that we got to do with it. Although I think only about 2 photos from that shoot actually made it in because they're all after photos. And Bryn had another racing Volvo. They was just off to Players when I was doing it, and that was super cool too. And I snuck one cheeky photo, but I don't think we published it. And the other one, I'm going to hand over to Stop Me Waffling to Ian.
Is that how we stop you waffling? The other one was a trip up to sunny Daventry. We haven't been up to Meguiar's for 8. I think the last time we went up to Meguiar's, they were on the front cover of 7.
Yeah, I feel I've been more recently. I went more recently to.
Oh yeah, no, you did, yeah. There was the training course. Yeah. No, we went up there, had a chance to do a podcast with Dale Masterman. Mm-hmm. Lovely chap, and went down, and he'd taken one of his many cars out of the undisclosed storage location. Mm-hmm. One thing we noticed when we went in there, going up the stairs, they have little prints done of all the brand project cars that they've done over the years, and you sort of go through, they really do quite a lot of cool things.
They do, and this is the kickstart to a new part of the mag that we're going to do, a new repeat feature, which is we're going to go and do an article on manufacturer project cars, and there'll just be one per issue. And we've started off with the Megs, but we're looking at all the others out there, and I'm talking about you, Mr. Dodo Juice, you, Mr. Auto Finesse, you, Mr. Shana Gloss, and all those others who've got some very cool project cars. Because I frankly want to drive that Saab that Shana Gloss do. That's basically my raison d'etre right now.
I cannot see that happening, but sure.
No, well, I'll give it a go. I mean, I haven't had a crash in days, so that's kind of a new thing. But this car, we featured the Mercedes. It was a
W115, which he put a lot of work in. It's all part of a YouTube series that they put together between his co-worker Tom and Dale, Rescue Rangers, I think, but maybe not. Tom put together a Renault 5.
Yep.
Slightly cooler than our one, slightly. But
I don't know. I bloody love taking photos of that one, though.
Somebody had just hit it at Players the week before, so it had a bit of a crack in the bumper. But and Dale's choice again was this Mercedes, and he's gone through it with a fine-tooth comb, turned it into this sort of California cruiser.
I was going to say 70s gangster, and I was...
Yeah, it's a little bit pimp, isn't it?
It's a bit Chicago gangster.
But it's really cool. So he's taken the interior up to Cobra to have it all retrimmed in this forest green leather. The paintwork's all been done. It's a body shop down in Dorset.
Probably.
Something like that. Down south, anyway. Just don't know. They talk funny down there and they smell worse. Just counting them in. And yeah, they've done sort of 70s lace painting on the roof and everything, and it's been
it's on
put on airbags to fit in these custom wheels done by Detroit Steels, which arrived as just black steelies that they manufactured them especially. They don't normally do this PCD fitting because they're American market, but they made them especially for those because they're looking to come into the European market a bit more. So they made these ones that said they're black. Dale then took the Peugeot Copper Sunset they used in the paint, and he's painted up the wheels in exactly the same colour, but with a satiny matte clear coat finish. Stuck them in the arches, slammed them down, especially so they can go onto the front cover.
Yes, indeed.
And there's probably some other reasons as well, but it's the front cover.
It is a cover.
It's a very cool shot. I do like that shot. Fun. And so we did the front cover sort of coming in from a sort of a sketch point of view down to show the building process.
It is, and photo buffs, it was taken on a 100mm macro at f-stop 25 with about a 6-second exposure. With
for non-photo buffs, it was taken on a camera.
It took a while to get that because it's difficult when you're photographing something that's brown. Brown is not. I know it's copper sunset, but it's brown. It's always a challenge, but we did get the odd angle on it, which was nice. So that was fun. But anyway. As ever, we've also got the directory section, a little bit about the PVD assessments at the end, but that pretty much wraps up the issue 50 of the magazine. It will be available for pre-order this week.
Yes.
At some point.
Later.
Yeah. So hopefully the first copies will be landing at the very, very beginning of August, I imagine, at this rate. We're all coordinating it with our own trips and stuff that we've got on. So it's all going to be fun when you suddenly have to send 1,000 magazines out in one day. It's quite a busy day, I'm not going to lie. And we need to find a suitably big car that works because the big car we normally use isn't working very well at the moment when it comes to getting it shipped to the depot.
So you need to sort of split those into 3 categories and pick 2.
Well, last time I realised when we were doing it,
suitably big car works.
When it was the Mag, it was one of them we were doing, and I worked out that we put 900 kilos in the back of.
It was Boris.
It was Boris.
It was sagging. I think you broke it, didn't you?
Yeah, that is when the self-leveling suspension quite a while ago finally gave way, and I kind of looked at bloody car's broken down. Then I realised we put 900 kilos in a vehicle whose payload I think was less than 600. So that would probably explain it. Mm-hmm. But anyway, in other things, obviously we've got season 4 of the podcast coming out very soon. We've got some very interesting people, and we've been podcasting, as you probably guessed, all over the world. Well, all over Europe at least, and with Americans. So we've got some interesting people there. We're not going to let the cat out of the bag. We've got 1 or 2 more to record that we've got booked in, and then this will launch, I suspect.
I'm actually looking forward to recording our next one.
Yeah, next one will be fun. You want to do it in a van, don't you?
Well, he's got a van.
Well, I know he's got a van, but it doesn't mean we have to. I had a van. I didn't think
it's quite it's like a Jamie cooking show, but with detailing.
Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I'm always try something once.
Otherwise, you can just drive the van here and do it.
Yeah, that's another alternative.
It's not just in a van because that could be a bit creepy. It's got a mattress in it.
Yeah, you're not helping.
The windows are blacked out. It's not weird or anything.
No, he's got a chemical toilet.
Yeah. Chemical disposal. He was saying.
Yeah. No, exactly. It melts well. No, it's fine. It'll be all right. We'll probably make it. If not, bugger. Anyway, thank you very much for listening. We will wrap up right now, and it's goodbye from me.
And goodbye from me.